London Real, sponsored by Bulletproof Coffee.
A lot of people quite rightly only know the reputation, and the reputation is just party, unconscious, drug taking, whatever. And I know that well too. And I know how to separate, but right now, for the last 4 years, I have been very much on I was on a dieta of no sex, drugs, alcohol, or anything, pretty much for the last 4 years. I'm not fully there at the moment. I've come off it, but at the same time, that was very much part of my journey.
That's quite, so for no sex, drugs, alcohol for like periods of years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Something Tim would do.
It was another one of the most beautiful lessons of my life. So many of these things which you think are natural, and then you realize when you stop it, actually how controlling it was of you. It was controlling your every being, and it wasn't natural. It was an addiction, and I just think we're so much more riddled with these things.
We are. Well, the 7 sins basically goes. They're a number for a reason.
It's just
the gluttony, the sex, the lust. Lust is the problem, not more than the sex, but that is what it leads to every time.
It's interesting because when you talk about your abstinence, it's like people can say, "Oh, no drugs, no alcohol, that's fine," but when you say sex, everyone probably is like, "What?"
Totally, and it's really hard to explain because it's like it was asked of me by this group of people that I wanted to go and visit, and they just said,
the tribe in Colombia.
That's right,
okay.
Yeah, and they just said, give up your addiction.
Is that no masturbation as well?
Well, I tried to, but that was like really, really difficult, and I wasn't able to fully. I did my best at all of that, and there were very long periods of time that I was pretty good, but the things slipped and what have you. So I've also been guilty of taking a lot of credit for doing it to a higher degree than I probably did, and I think I need to step away from that.
No, but that's still like you're leading an exploration there that other people should do, and I completely back that. That like
it was an exploration, and for me initially I had no idea, and like. Most of them were easy, but like the sex was very difficult. And it's the question why, sex is natural. Why would you want to give it up?
Right.
But then
it's natural in the physical world, though. But then beyond that, it's like
and in the Western world, we associate sex with so many other things.
Well, what I realized was, of course, that I just had a massive addiction to the female form. It was an objectification of females rather than the loving, heart-based, resonant sort of connection that I later discovered. But that took me over a year to actually move away from my loins and into my heart. And I had no idea that that's what was going to happen. And even to this day, I still struggle with my objectification. And, I come back to London, and it's sex everywhere. It's like absolutely crazy. I'm just pulling my hair out. But I have had periods of my life where I now realize the difference between what was driving me previously and what I was able to finally find, which is this completely different sensation of connection, which fulfilled me in every sense, which wasn't lustful, which was just loving and harmonious and not needy. There was no need, it was real love. And it was like, wow, that's what people talk about. I had no idea this shit goes on in the world. And that was the gift, I would never have found that for myself. I was just on my normal road like everyone else, thinking, well, this is normal. I'm just going to do my thing, trying to be nice, trying to be a nice guy, but absolutely missing the point for me on every turn.
Well, I always see it as, say you're on an aeroplane, there's a kid behind you and he starts kicking the seat and it bugs you, but for that kid, his reality is just he's in his seat, he's been on this plane for hours and he wants to get out and move around, so he's kicking the seat. He's not aware that he's disrupting everyone on the plane and you in front of it. So as adults, we've grown older. How many things do we do in our everyday life that are like that kid in the chair, but we're less aware of in maybe a more spiritual form, where we're hurting if we have sex with women, and their emotions involved, then, and you may hurt them or something. And there's other things, obviously, with what we're eating, with food, with agriculture, with every iPhone that we buy. Are we still that kid in the chair kicking the guy in front, completely oblivious to how much harm and disruptive we're causing to the whole planet?
But it's hard, man. We're growing up in this society. It's tough.
I guess it's like when you meditate for a while. At first, you're like, "What am I doing?" And then, like a month later, 2 months, you start notice. Wait a second, I don't do some of the behaviors I used to do. And I guess with abstaining from sex, you probably are like, "Wait a second, I'm a different person now." 3 months in, 6 months.
How much more energy do you have when you're not checking everyone out walking down the shopping mall? It's like, wow, I can actually concentrate on something else. It's just really amazing.
It's because it's like a low-level chakra. It responds at a much faster frequency. So before, your brain can think or anything. It's like boom, like you're way more. It's a much deeper connection into us in a nature connection, I guess, as well, through the root chakra.
Have you gone and visited this tribe, or was it like was it a request they made that you have to kind of purify yourself before you go see them? Or?
You know what? I only had that one sentence from them 4 years ago, and I haven't actually met that guy since. So I've kind of been on my own journey of trying to figure things out.
And yes, believe it to be true.
I have connected with them again since, and it's and we were about to film with them recently, and then there sadly was an accident. So I'm not sure what's going to happen next, but we're hoping that the right thing will happen.
This week, London Real presents Adam Scorgi, the producer of The Union, the business of getting high.
Stop. Watch The Union, then we'll have a rational discussion. But don't argue with me until you've learned some facts.
Marijuana is just a weed, and marijuana is worth more ounce for ounce than gold.
You're the pot guys, right? We did a pot film, right, that was thought-provoking and entertaining, but that doesn't make us pot guys.
Now he brings you the culture high.
Things don't add up, they don't work. We can't just keep banging our head against a brick wall and expecting it to change. We have to start looking at alternative models. What those are, who knows?
The Culture High is the documentary that will tear into the very fiber of the longest fought war of our time.
This Sunday, London Real presents Adam Scorgi, the culture high.
The only thing that really seems to make sense is that none of this makes any sense.